Shalom, everybody. Rabbi Edelstein back after a short hiatus with a Rabbi Ian 3. I'm glad to be back. It's great to see you again. And I want to jump right in. Well, we're sponsored, as always, by MEOR DC. And I'll get into, I'll have to get back into the routine. MEORDC.com is our website, etc., etc. But let's jump right in, because this week's Torah portion, Va'eschanan, is an incredible one. Everything in the Torah is incredible, but if there's one Torah portion I would have to choose that's bursting with illumination and light, or spiritual light and heartwarming verses, it's this week's Torah portion. We have the Shema and the mitzvah of loving Hashem, which we'll talk about in a second, in this week's Torah portion. And this Shabbos, when we read this portion, is also known as Shabbos Nachamu, a Shabbos of consolation. That word comes from the Haftorah, the book of Isaiah. Why are we being consoled? Because we've just passed through Tisha B'Av, the 9th of Av, the saddest, darkest day in the Jewish calendar this past week, a 25-hour fast day, and a very heavy period leading up to Tisha B'Av. So then when Tisha B'Av is over, and then we go into Shabbos Nachamu and read this Torah portion, it's like an incredible dive in a beautiful spring of fresh water and beautiful illumination from Hashem. It's a beautiful Torah portion. And perhaps the pinnacle of the portion, I don't know, there's so many beautiful peaks, but I guess the pinnacle, the peak of the peak, is Ahavas Hashem. In this week's Torah portion, you shall love the Lord your God. You shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your nefesh, all your life or soul, often translated as might, but the Talmud gives a couple of ideas, really. The word ma'od just means very much. Loving God with all your possessions, loving God with all the situations and circumstances that he sends to you in your life, be they sweet or sometimes bitter. To love God, Avas Hashem, what a mitzvah. But how do we do it? Now, there's a lot to say, a lot more than in 3 minutes. We need 3 semesters, 3 summers, 3 lifetimes, Avas Hashem. In so many ways, it is the pinnacle, not just of this portion, but of all of the Torah. And the Slonim Rebbe, the beautiful, great Slonim Rebbe, he should rest in peace, whose book, Nesivo Shalom, I like to quote from, as many, many thousands of Jewish people do, speaks beautifully about how every commandment in the Torah, all the other 612 commandments, in a certain sense, are building us to attain the peak called Avas Hashem, living lives imbued with love of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, of the Holy One, blessed be He. So in a sense, it's a very high peak. But is it hard to reach? I think not. Meaning, let me explain. Well, first of all, where do we get love of Hashem? How can the Torah command us love Hashem? Maybe I don't love. Maybe it's impossible to love. You're asking me to create something out of nothing? No. It's in all of us. Every Jewish person has a spark of holiness. Every Jewish person has the seedlings of Avas Hashem, of loving God. Doesn't every child love their parent? You don't have to be commanded in most cases, unless there's something really wrong with the system. I know I had kids. Now they might not care for me, but when they're little, they love you because you're their parent. Well, Hashem is our Father in heaven. We love him. He gives us life and pleasures, every pleasure. So just on that level, and then as Jews, he gives us the Torah, the commandments, and the wisdom. And he gives us the Jewish people, an incredible unit in this world to be a light to the nation, a mission to represent a life of godliness and holiness. I mean, so you don't have to create love, Ava, out of nothing. As the Slonim Rebbe says, the mitzvah really is to constantly seek out ways to develop the love that's already within us. By contemplating the beauty of this world, as Rambam Maimonides often writes about, and seeing the wisdom and kindliness in the world, by studying the Torah. Rashi brings that idea in his commentary. By delving into the Torah, you come to intimately know the one who gave it. And by thinking about yourself, and on and on. But my point is, loving God. What's the commandment? It's not, I feel a love right now. That's part of it. But it's constantly doing things that develop that love that is within each one of us. And every single mitzvah is a vehicle to develop that love and express that love. There's so much more to say. I'm over 3, but I know you gave me like an extra minute 40. Have a wonderful, beautiful, light-filled Shabbos full of love. See you next week, God willing.